Hey guys, welcome back to Jurassic Collectibles. So today we're taking a look at this. It's the brand new Stomp and Strike Tyrannosaurus Rex from the Jurassic World toy line. This one boasts loads of features including chomping jaws, stomping feet sound effect and leg articulation. This one is packed with features and is the biggest T-Rex toy we've had in the Jurassic World toy line so far. So let's kick off by taking a closer look at the packaging. So up in the top left hand corner we've got the Jurassic World logo there in chrome and blue. Down at the bottom it says Stomp and Strike Tyrannosaurus Rex. Over here you can see that it's got a stomping sound effect. Over here it's got a little rundown of the chomping jaws effect, which is activated by pushing the tail down. And here is the glorious Tyrannosaurus Rex in his box. Looks like we got some realistic rubbery skin on the neck here. Looks like we also have a rubbery tail here. If you've watched our vintage Jurassic Park toy reviews, you'll notice this is the bent tail syndrome, which is when they cannot fit the T-Rex in the box, so they bend the rubbery tail.
You know, you read what others had done, and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves, so you don't take any responsibility for it.
Bye-bye, Ian. There you go. Get back in your bag. Cranky Ian. And on the back of the box we've got this glorious picture of the Tyrannosaurus Rex roaring, glowing blue, and you can see we've got a nice little rundown of the chomping feature. You push down on the tail to activate the chomping jaws. Also we've got a rundown of the other dinosaurs in this line. We have reviewed all of them, so we've got Velociraptor Blue, Indominus Rex and the Pteranodon vs Helicopter set. These are all reviewed on the channel, links are down below, and it says up here, Tyrannosaurus Rex, the earth shakes with a menacing rumble. Hold your breath and whatever you do, don't move. The powerful T-Rex is back. Also, if you're wearing high heels, you can run away quite easily from this dinosaur. This big guy is powered by two AA batteries, but don't worry, you don't need to pick them up. Batteries are included. Okay, that's enough of the box. Let's get this big guy out of the packaging. So here is the huge Stomp and Strike T-Rex out of the packaging, and I have to say, compared to the other T-Rexes we've had, this one is fairly impressive. It's got a lot of gimmicks going on, it's better painted, and it resembles the T-Rex a little bit more. I have to be honest though, compared to the other T-Rexes from the other movie lines, this one is still pretty average. So in hand, the Tyrannosaurus Rex looks pretty impressive. It's a massive figure. Unfortunately on this side, whoa there, we have 9 visible screw holes. This is simply not acceptable for a modern toy. This is not a McDonald's toy, this is an expensive toy, so you'd expect the sculpt to hold up like it did in 1993. We've also got a visible sound box. That's okay, but the screw holes just look really distracting on this Tyrannosaurus Rex. On the neck we do have a rubberized realistic feel skin. You can see the paint job for some reason stops here before the neck. I'm not sure why that is. We do have the bent tail syndrome. Now you can get rid of this by holding it under hot water and holding it straight, not too hot. You don't want to burn yourself, and make sure that the hot water doesn't run into the body, because obviously that's where the electronics are and you don't want to spoil those. The arm is made from a half plastic, half rubber, so it is flexible, but unfortunately this means that in the box it's actually bent inwards, so I don't know if hot water treatment would fix that too, but it's a bit of a shame that it's damaged the toy itself. In terms of the paint scheme, it's generally pretty good. We've got lots of paint applications going on. Unfortunately they've used a tan colour as opposed to a brown again, the same as with the other 2 Tyrannosaur figures, but this one is darker, so we're getting closer to brown but still not quite the right shade of brown. And there's some nice airbrushing going on along the lower part of the body, running all the way up to here just before the tail, and you can see it stops abruptly there. But I do like these paint applications around the head, all the way around the jaw, and also these stripes running down the back. It's just a shame that it's not a darker coloration, because we're getting so close to the right coloration of the T-Rex. For some reason Hasbro have gone with a cat's eye again for the T-Rex, and as we know the T-Rex in all the films has a round pupil. They've tried to make it look almost like it's glassy by having a little highlight there printed on the eye, but unfortunately this black surround of the eye really doesn't work. Where they needed to put the black line was actually on the edge of the lid. As it stands, this just looks like the eyeball is floating in a black abyss. Inside we've got very sort of purpley pink flesh tone, which is a little bit distracting, and it's all one colour as well. And although the teeth have been carefully painted, this sculpt is not great, which is something I'm going to get onto next. We've also got way too much paint on the gum line here. It's coming way down the teeth. It really should just stop at the root of each of the teeth. So compared to the other two, the head actually looks much better, mainly because the jaw flows onto the neck. With the other two in this wave, and I will be comparing them in just a bit, the jaw was completely dislocated and looked really, really odd. And thankfully with this model we don't have that problem. I would say the T-Rex head still looks off model, doesn't look right. It's very flat along this plane here, and actually it looks like they've kind of mirrored the model along the center and made it just too thick. It just doesn't match the T-Rex we see in the film, but it's getting closer. It's a shame because in this day and age, visual effects can be sent over as 3D models that can be directly printed out from the ones we see on the screen. So there's really no excuse to get this model so wrong. It's a shame really that they didn't have those assets to start off with. As we move down the body, there's some really nice detailing going on here in the sculpt, and I have to highlight these veins in the neck. They look really nice, and also the rib cage just showing through there. The back feels quite humpbacked. It's a feature that's on all of the other T-Rexes, and I'm not sure why they made it so humpbacked. The leg does feel better proportioned generally. It has these really big scales going on, which are actually on both of the other T-Rexes, and the feet are very, very big, but we can forgive that because we had big feet on the Bull T-Rex, which is a fan favourite. Unfortunately, underneath they have not sculpted the undersides of the feet. You can see they're just flat panels, and this one's much larger on this one for some reason. And then as we move along the tail, we've got a very skinny, thin tail again, like we had with the other T-Rexes. So it still has its flaws, but generally it feels much better than the other two in this wave. Now on the other two Tyrannosaurus Rexes, we noted that they'd actually joined together the three toes to make this sort of blob-like foot. And here they've actually tried to put in some separation between the toes. It doesn't go very far, but at least they've tried to sculpt in those individual toes, which is a bit better. It still has this very ugly looking heel going all the way back here, which I'm assuming is to keep it upright. It's mainly a functional thing and not an aesthetic thing, but it does spoil somewhat the look of the Tyrannosaurus Rex foot, and we didn't have these problems on the 1993 or 1997 Tyrannosaurus Rexes. Now what we're all here to see is the gimmicks on this guy, and he's actually got some really nice gimmicks that sort of imitate the old 1993 Red Rex, a brilliant toy. We have reviewed that one on the channel as well, so go and check that one out. But you'll see, as I stomp him down, he makes an authentic stomping sound effect. Now the other cool gimmick is the roaring sound effects, and it breaks down into two separate sound effects. So when you raise the body up, the T-Rex roars triumphantly, and when you bring him back down, he goes into this sort of low growling attack mode. So let's bring the body up into that triumphant roar. Now this roaring sound effect is a bit hit and miss for me. I find moving the body up sharply or moving the opposite leg backward activates that sound effect every time. Moving the tail down doesn't activate the sound effect, and I think it's supposed to. So you've got an option there as to whether you want the sound effect to go off when you put him into this pose. And actually it's a really cool pose. You can see the neck has been rotated a little bit, cocking the head, just like the T-Rex does in the film when he roars at the Indominus Rex. Now there's another roaring sound effect. When we return him to the downward pose, he has that low growling, which signifies an attack mode. And I think that's really cool. I love both of the sound effects. I think the triumphant roar is my favorite though. Let's hear that one more time. Cool. In terms of articulation, we're limited by the gimmick really, but there still is a little bit of posability. So the jaw can actually open quite wide, and that's spring loaded, so that springs back because of the gimmick. You can actually waggle the neck left and right, but it does feel like that's working some of the springs in the gimmick, so I don't want to do that too often. The arms do actually rotate, so they pivot fine. This one obviously is a little bit mangled, so it will only go so far back because of the packaging. Unfortunately, this is a real letdown. The legs are not posable. They look like they've got articulation at every joint, but no, these are actually spring-loaded because of the gimmick. Same on the opposite side. You can only move it back to activate the gimmick. There's no posability there. So that's a real shame. Moving on to the tail, you can move this slightly up and down, and again, that's spring-loaded for the gimmick. And then we've got the rubberized tail, which you can, bend around, but it won't hold its pose. So just how big is this T-Rex? T-Rex. Let's bring out the tape measure. So you're looking at about 18, 19 inches long. Probably if you extended the tail, you're looking at about 20 inches, which is about 51 centimeters. In terms of the height up to the tail here, you're looking at about 11 inches, which is about 28 centimeters. Then in the upright pose, you're looking at about 10 inches up to the nose, which is about 26 centimeters. And obviously the length is still the same in this mode. Size comparison time, let's bring in the huge T-Rex from the Jurassic World line. And up until now, this has been the biggest one available in this line, but you can see that the Stomp and Strike T-Rex dwarfs it. And actually just look at the differences between these two. Not only is the coloration and the paint apps much better on this Stomp and Strike T-Rex, but the sculptural differences are massive. Just look at this skinny leg compared to this much more better proportioned leg on the Stomp and Strike T-Rex. Just look at the dislocated jaw on this one and the way it flows much better into the rubbery neck on this one. I just think if they'd come out at the same time, everyone would have chosen the Stomp and Strike T-Rex over this one. And it's a shame really that fans will have to go out and rebuy the T-Rex to get something that's a little bit closer to what we see in the film. Next, here's the smaller Tyrannosaurus Rex model. And again, we have reviewed this one on the channel. Link is down below. And you can see how wildly out of proportion this T-Rex is. Its head is enormous and it's got these tiny little legs. It's really not worth picking up this figure. If you can avoid it, do so at all costs and try and pick up the Stomp and Strike T-Rex because you will be much more satisfied. And if you can, get one of the vintage T-Rexes because they're much better and much closer to what you see in the film. Lastly, let's bring in off-color Alan, our good friend from 1993. You can see that he scales up quite nicely next to this Stomp and Strike T-Rex, and I have to say it's nice to see a brown version of a Tyrannosaurus Rex in this scale next to Alan Grant. Thanks Alan! There he goes, he's leaving the review table. So there we have it guys, that was today's look at the Stomp and Strike T-Rex from Jurassic World. I have to be honest, I think this probably could be the best Jurassic World toy out there. And I know there's been a big backlash with the Hasbro Jurassic World toy line, but this one is actually pretty good. The main letdown for me is the sculpt. If they'd got the sculpt spot on and looking exactly like the T-Rex, this would have been an awesome toy. You know, obviously we haven't got the great articulation, we haven't got the rubbery body, we've got a little bit of rubber on the neck and a little bit of rubber on the tail, but the gimmicks are actually pretty cool on this guy. You've got the stomping feature, you've got two different roars, and you've got this really nice sort of pose where the neck twists automatically. I think that kind of animatronic feature is actually pretty cool. It's just a shame that it doesn't look exactly like the T-Rex. Also the paint job could be improved there as well, but they were close, you know. Hasbro are getting closer. Maybe one day we'll get like a collector's edition that will look exactly like the T-Rex but with these features and maybe minus the screw holes as well. So guys, let me know your thoughts. Will you be picking this guy up? Have you picked him up already? I think it's a fine addition to your collection, and definitely if you're a big fan of Jurassic World, pick this guy up because you're gonna love him. It's worth noting that we are going to be giving this guy away on the channel very soon, so stay tuned to find out how you can get your hands on him, or should I say her, it's a female Rex. In the meantime guys, rate, comment and subscribe. Whoa, rate, comment and subscribe. Whoa, it's coming alive, and I'll see you in the next video.